Hey guys, you're watching Everyday Spartan, and today we're going to talk about the cheapest ways to run Spartan races. So a little bit about me, my name is Daniel. I've run a lot of Spartans this year. I've run 19 in total. So I kind of show you, I have some of my medals actually laid out for 2019. So this is a stadium medal, 10 sprint medals, and then I have 4 super medals over there. And actually back there on the wall, you'll be able to see 2 more beast medals and an ultra medal all the way in the back for the Carolinas Ultra that I did. So I've run a lot. That winds up being 19 total. And in order to do that, I've had to find some of the cheaper methods to do it. So I'm going to break down some methods. First of all, for people who this is their first Spartan, or they're just not going to do that many this year, and they're just looking for some cheap, fast methods to do some of the quickest early stuff. And then break down for some of the people who want to be doing multiple races a year. And I'm going to talk about both of those. So I'm going to actually move to my computer because I've made an Excel sheet that breaks down this price stuff. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly, but basically I've laid out all the prices. So this is the cost of the race that's advertised by Spartan for all these different methods. Here are the fees that get tacked on that they don't tell you about. And then here's the total cost that's going to cost you to do each of these methods individually. And you can see I did a cost per race because things like the trifecta pass actually give you 3 races, and things like the season pass actually give you unlimited races. So it depends on how many races you're doing as to what your cost per race is going to be. So let's just jump right into it. So first of all, I got all of the sprint, super, and beast prices that are advertised by Spartan. So these prices vary, so I'm going to make a small note that these are the prices for the Hawaii trifecta weekend. I got the sprint, super, and beast codes for the afternoons of that trifecta weekend. These prices are likely to change. First of all, the trifecta weekend is really far off. So as races get closer, the prices tend to increase as the cheaper spots sell out. And also, afternoon heats are going to be cheaper than morning heats. So these are kind of like the cheapest race codes that you're going to find, but this is kind of what you can expect. You can expect 147 to 170 bucks for doing your sprints to beasts. And then the first method that I'm going to talk about is getting a discount code. So a discount code is basically Spartan will have some kind of promotion going on. You see this as like a summer sale, or right now there's a Black Friday deal going on where they're going to offer some percentage off of the races. So these deals kind of vary a lot. I've seen like 15%, 10%. I think a good deal starts being somewhere in the range of 20 to 30%. So that's what, in my opinion, a really good deal on a race is. So that's what you should be kind of keeping in mind. I put 30% just as like this is the best case scenario. You're getting the cheapest prices on the races and you're taking 30% off of it. And so these are the prices that you can kind of find as your best case scenario for using a discount code. You can expect to drop, obviously about 36 bucks on your sprints. And obviously you're dropping, what is that, $45 off of your beast to 111 and 126 bucks. So those are just some niceties. I summed up the total that it's going to take you to your full trifecta for each of these methods. So it's 475 bucks in total without any discount codes, and you can knock that down to about 350 by using good discount codes. So as you can see, knocking off like 120 bucks by just using smart discount codes can save you a lot of money. But the thing is, there are even better methods than this, and 30% is actually a really high ball estimate for the codes. I think that probably if you see a code for like 20 or 25%, and this is the method you're going to do, you should probably settle for that. But 30% is a really good deal, probably one of the best ones you'll find. So now we're going to talk about the actual codes that I recommend you do. So these are my methods for people who are just looking to try out Spartan and want to do like your first race or finish your first trifecta for really cheap. So the first thing you can do is volunteer. And you can find more information about volunteering just by Googling it on Spartan's website. But essentially what you do is you go and you work at a race. So Spartan needs people to direct traffic, give out medals at the end of the race, work water stations, even help take down the course after it's all said and done. So volunteering can get you, it gives you a few things. First of all, you get a volunteering shirt, which you get to keep. They give you a free meal. They get you into the race venue area. But most importantly, they give you a free race code. So using that free race code, you can see there's still some hidden fees that Spartan doesn't tell you about, but it winds up being about 26 bucks for you to volunteer and run. So if you keep in mind that if you took a regular sprint and you're saving about 120 bucks off of your sprints, 121 exactly, and when you volunteer, you're going to work about 6 hours. So that means you're working for about 20 bucks an hour. So if that's the benefit analysis that works for you, that's about what you're getting. Is you're working for about 20 bucks an hour to work a Spartan race without any previous training needed. I've heard mixed reviews about this. Sometimes you can get a really good job, or sometimes you can get a pretty backbreaking one. But all in all, I think that for people where this financially makes sense, they all tend to generally agree that this is a good method. And this is what I recommend you do if you're trying to do either a super or a beast. Particularly sprints, there are some better methods, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The other way you can race for quote unquote free is by getting a free race code. And they give these away for different reasons. The most common one is they actually have contests that go on in the Spartan Spectator area. So these will be things like a pull-up contest. So it's who can do the most pull-ups in a minute. Or a plank contest, who can plank the longest. And various things like that. And you can win a free race code, one each for the best male and the best female of this contest. So, for example, I have won 2 codes this year in 2019. I won one for doing a pull-up contest and one for doing a dead hang contest, but they do have some contests that favor like more built people. Like they had a slosher where you're doing military press and who could do the most. So this is a pretty good method. The only downside is you do have to be kind of fit already. So if you're kind of out of shape or just comparatively not quite as in shape as some other people, it may be harder to win one of these. So as I said, I've participated in about 5 this year and I've won about 2. So just keep that in mind. I think that this is a really nice code just because you can do this while you're racing. The thing is they have these contests in the venue area, so you have to get into the venue area in order to try and win these free races. In order to get into the Spartan venue area, by the way, if you're not racing or volunteering, then you actually have to pay $20 as a spectator pass. So it's not free to get in by any means. So you'll probably be doing this just in between you racing, and maybe on the off chance you win one. It's always worth a try. So as an example, I was running the Virginia Super this year, and I actually missed my start time by about 15 minutes, so I had to wait 15 minutes to start the next race. And I was just walking around, and I saw they had a pull-up contest going. And I thought, okay, cool. I took off some of my gear. I went over, and I did the pull-up contest, and I found out later that I actually won it. So I won a free race code this way, which is really nice. So basically, this is just really nice if you're already racing that day. You might as well do this. There's a chance you could win a free race. And also, women in particular, very few women try the contests. So for example, in Charlotte this year, there was a dead hang contest. And I saw a woman she was the only woman to try the dead hang. But because she was the only one, she won by default. So even if you're not very in shape, particularly for women, it just makes sense for you to try this and see what happens. But anyone should try doing this just in between your races. You can do this after or before your race. Typically, they'll have like 3 or 4 of these throughout each day of the race. So usually before or after your race, you can find a good time to try getting this free code. But I highly recommend that. But yeah, so those are some of the free ones. So the problem is the free code, you can't really count on getting it. You have to take a chance, and you have to already do your first race. And volunteering requires you to work. So if you don't want to do either of those, you can do the Sunday afternoon heat. So Spartan Race actually gives you deals for running on Sunday afternoon. Basically, the reason is because Sundays tend to be less popular. Most people want to run on Saturday, so they're going to give you a deal for that. And the afternoon heat, the race course tends to be the most churned up, like the most people have run through, and it's very muddy. So it's slightly less ideal of a racing experience. You know, the race course is going to be a little less than ideal. You don't get as much freedom in your schedule, but they make up for that by giving you a $50 race, which when you compare that to like the best deal, the best of the best, you're paying $77 for a sprint up here. This is a pretty good deal, and it winds up being a total of about $81 to run this method. So I highly recommend it if you're just trying to try out your first race. The big downside to this is that the Sunday afternoons tend to almost always be sprints. So you can almost only use this on a sprint. I think there's only ever been one race, and it was over a year ago, that I was able to use an afternoon code on a super, and I've never been able to use it on a beast. So just keep that in mind. So what I recommend is maybe trying out this to try out your first sprint, see how you like it. And if you want to become a trifecta chaser, if you want to try doing your super and beast, you can maybe try volunteering. And that's probably one of the cheapest methods you have. And as a note, if you are a member of the military or if you're a service member, so particularly this also applies to police officers. I've even seen it apply to school teachers. So if you think this may apply to you, definitely check it out. Or if you're a student, you can get a $25 race in the Sunday afternoon. So this is still Sunday afternoon. It comes with all the same benefits and downsides, but it's even cheaper. It winds up being about $54 total to run with this method. And I'm a college student, and my girlfriend's a college student, and I know a lot of people who run with this method whenever they're trying to do like an open race code. As a note, you'll see this on screen, but in order to do this, you basically can just Google like Spartan Race student discount, and you'll have to sign up through Unidays. So you need to have your college email ready where you verify that you are in fact a student, and then they will send you unlimited codes to use for any Sunday afternoon heat. So that's pretty good. But yeah, so those are some of the cheapest methods, as you can see. And these are what I recommend. So basically, if you're trying out your first sprint,
and or Stadion, these also can be Stadions, then I would highly recommend doing like a Sunday afternoon to see how you like Spartan. And then try winning a free race code there. And if you happen to win a free race code, use that. Or you can maybe try volunteering. And that's going to be your cheapest method. So if you're not a student and you're just doing Sunday afternoon, you can expect adding this to 50. You can finish your entire trifecta for something like $130, $135. So when you compare that to $147 for a single sprint at the start of the video, that's going to be your best value that you're going to be able to get. Now, if you don't want to mess with all that, but you still want to finish trifecta, they do offer bundles. So there are passes that are basically just a bundle of race that Spartan's going to offer you with some kind of discount. And the first pass we're going to talk about is the trifecta pass. So with the trifecta pass, is exactly what it sounds like. You finish a full trifecta with one purchase. So basically, it gives you codes for a sprint or stadium, a super, and a beast. And what you can do with this is when you basically buy all of these together, it winds up being about $350. So when you compare that, the total price is going to be about $411 or $137 per race. So as you can see, this does not compare favorably to these other super cheap methods. Honestly, if you just get like the student discount in the afternoon, it may be cheaper for you to do a student discount afternoon and then buy a discounted super or beast code. But as you can tell, if you do just want to buy all these together without any discount applied to the trifecta, you will be saving a strict about $65 off of buying all the races separate by doing a trifecta pass. And also, all of these passes come with, they come with like a few things. They call it like the Spartan swag, you know, quote unquote, which is a free shirt, jacket, and hat. So I recently got mine and I got a jacket and hat. They also give you a 10% discount on the store. So if you're going to buy merch, you do get that discount. And also, it does come with a free spectator pass for each race you do. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to pay $20 to get in if you're a spectator, or you can use a spectator pass. So for example, if you want to have someone come watch you race, you can get that person in for free. This is particularly nice. So for example, I ran the West Virginia Beast this year, and I wanted my girlfriend to come see me because it was the North American Championships. And instead of her paying, I used a spectator pass and she was able to get in. So this is a pretty good deal. If you're gonna like just not wait for a good discount or anything, you should still do this if you're trying to do a trifecta over buying individual races. But obviously, trifecta passes can also have deals going on for them, and these discounts can vary. 20 to 30% also seems to be a really good deal for trifecta. So that Cyber Monday deal I mentioned earlier, that's giving about 30% off for all the races, it's also giving 25% off the trifecta pass. So it's giving a pretty good discount. But I estimated that 30 is probably the best discount you will possibly see. So that's what I calculated with. And as you can see, that knocks the total price down to about $300. So you can see you're saving about $115 if you manage to hold out for a really good discount code, and it brings your cost per race to about $100. So as you can see, it's still cheaper by about $60 to run a trifecta with the discount than it is to run all the discount codes. But this is where it gets tricky. Let's say they're not running a discount on the trifecta pass, but they are running a discount on all three of the race types. Well, as you can see, the total cost for the race is $355 about, and the total trifecta cost is about $411. So that's like it's over a $60 difference. So if you are someone who doesn't really want to wait for the trifecta pass to go on sale, but there's a good race discount sale, it still makes sense to buy these three separate over the trifecta pass. The only downside is you don't get like those spectator passes and the shirt and jacket if that matters to you. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, so this is like a decent value, but again, you actually have to kind of keep this in mind, keep these prices in mind compared to the rest of these. So you have to pay attention to like what's on sale and how you can get the best value when you're deciding between trifecta and regular races. And then also keep in mind that like the cheapest methods, you can get like $26 to $81 per race. So it's just even stupid cheap, even compared to the best cost per race you do for a very cheap trifecta. So again, my personal cheap method would be to do the student, military, or Sunday afternoon, and then volunteer / try and use free race codes. Even then, if you can get like one volunteer pass for a beast, you can get one Sunday afternoon for a sprint, and then you just buy a super straight out, that's still going to wind up being cheaper. So just keep all that in mind. Okay, so that was the method for people who I just want to finish a trifecta this year, and I don't want to do that much work. Now we're going to get into the method for the people who really want to run a lot of races. So these are the cost benefit columns for the season passes. So season passes you buy at the end of the year. Typically, they go on sale around September, and they'll be on sale until they sell out, which is usually around December. But if you buy one in that window, basically it's a one-time fee, and then you get free races for the rest of the year. You still have a ghost fee, as I mentioned before, this $26.40 that gets applied to everything. But if you run a lot of races, this can make sense because obviously this cost is like going down small, but you still have like a base 26.40. So as a note, like as you can tell, the cost per race decreases as you run more races. This cost will decrease to a value of 26.40. So that's the limit that these values are approaching. So the Open Pass is unlimited open races. The Age Group Pass is unlimited open and age group races, and then the Elite Pass is unlimited open, age group, and elite races. I'm going to make a note. I'm not going to talk anymore about the Elite Race Pass, just because for the elite races, you have to qualify by running a fast enough race time to even qualify to do this elite race. So I'm not going to talk anymore about this because if you're running that fast, you probably know enough about Spartan where I don't need to break it down for you. But yeah, just for like the lazy man, I have gone ahead and calculated all of it. So the main benefit you get over the age group pass, over the open pass, is that you do run age group races. So as a note, age group races cost about $20 more. So if you actually want to sign up age group as an open pass holder, then you can still use the discount, but you have to pay the price difference between the open and the age group race, which if that's about 20 bucks, that means you need to run, as you can see, the price difference is about 220. You need to run about 11 races. But if you can run 11 races age group, then it makes sense for you to get this age group pass over the open pass. But yeah, so as you can see, now that you can see all these prices, I'm going to show you everything just going down all the way down to 50 cost per race if that's something you care about. But now we're going to start doing a comparison to say, like, where does it make sense to start buying these races? So I'm going to kind of look at this window. But as you can see, like, let's say you just wanted to do better than, let's say, the trifecta pass. The trifecta pass winds up being $137. So as you can see, you had to run about 8 races with a season pass to make up the difference for the trifecta pass. And with an age group pass, as you can see, you got to run about 10 races. So that's where it starts making sense over trifectas. And over the trifecta with a deal, obviously it's around $100. It starts making sense when you run $12 open or 12 races open, and it starts making sense around 15 races age group. So that's how far you got to run before, like buying 5 trifecta passes starts making less sense over buying an age group pass. So as you can see, you actually have to run a lot of races for this to make sense. I'm also going to do this breakdown for the best deal. So these are the best prices you could possibly get. So I'm just going to average and say this is like the average value, 54 bucks. So let's say, how many races do I need to run in order to get this like $54 per race? So as you can see, if you run 32 races in the open pass, then you will make up that price difference. And for the age group pass, you have to run about 40 races. So that's obviously a lot. But there's a lot of benefits that come with this. So again, this is a Sunday afternoon heat, meaning not only are these like in the morning, which can be more convenient, and they're on Saturday, which means basically all of your scheduling inconveniences are taken away, but your passes can be applied to any race, not just sprint races, because the sprints are almost always your Sunday afternoon. So these apply to supers and beasts. So when you take that into account, this actually winds up being a really good amount of value, in my opinion. You still get the spectator passes and stuff like that. And as a note, you get 50% off ultras. So if you're going to run an ultra, at some point in the year, that can be somewhere around like $250, $300. Getting half off that takes it down to $120 to $150, which is much cheaper. So you're saving a good bit of value if you're running an ultra as well, where you cannot get a code for an ultra at all. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at running. It is going to save you a good deal of value, but you have to run a lot of races. So basically, my cost-benefit analysis is, if you're going to run at least 12 to 15 races in a year, you should get an open season pass. So basically, if you're thinking you're going to finish like 4 trifectas or something like that, it makes total sense for you to get an open pass. And if you're going to run at least 10 age group races, of those like 15 plus races you're going to run with your pass, then it makes sense for you to go age group. And as you can imagine, you can do a similar analysis for your elite races off to the side. But that's about what you're looking for price wise. So I hope this was a good basis. But basically, if you're just trying to try out your first race, I highly recommend either volunteering if you really don't want to pay this cost difference, but I recommend the Sunday afternoon or student military discount. And then for your super and beast, if you're trying to do a trifecta, I highly recommend volunteering. If you don't want to do the volunteering, which I know is a good bit of work. 6 hours of work can be a lot for some people, especially if it's out in the sun or something, and you don't want to take the inconvenience of doing it Sunday afternoon, then your next best bet is waiting for a good deal on a trifecta pass or waiting for a really good deal on all 3 races. You kind of have to do a cost-benefit analysis when you're comparing the two. And then if you are going to run at least your 12 to 15, get a season pass. Yeah, so these are really good methods. I really hope you enjoyed that. I know that was a lot of information to digest, but hopefully you can kind of get what your ideal thing for you is. I'm going to note that all of these calculations were done in December of 2019. So, for example, if it's like 2021 and you're watching this video, there may be some stuff that's outdated, so just keep that in mind. But most of this, from what I've seen, has stayed pretty consistent. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in another video.